Mhm.
Talk a little bit about volume. We are looking at about 155,000 Solana volume, 93K over on Magic Eden, representing about 60% of volume. Tensor with about 45K, coming in at about 28.5. Hades Swap at 11K. They love that 10 to 15K like Solana volume range on any given day. And so they're like almost pegged to it at this point. I don't know what it is, but looking down the chart, exchange art at 1.28 thousand Solana volume. That seems lower than I'm used to. And honestly, that might be a little alpha right there, because I think when people aren't looking at 101s, that's probably the time to get in. So maybe my alpha, because after Mad Lads, I really don't know too many more hyped mints. Bodagos is really the only one that I know off the top of my head, and maybe like Kids, KYDS, Sandbar at some point too. But I think when it's quiet, because we're about to go through our mint sprint, right? We're in the middle of it. We got Heist, Mad Lads, at some point, Bodagos, Sandbar, and KYDS, Kids. It's probably up there in some way, shape, or form, on some level of hype. And Wasta too. I love Wasta Corp. But nonetheless, we're getting through our mint sprint. So what happens after that? Well, if there's a lack of mints and we don't really know anything coming, there's really two plays that you can do. One, sell in May and walk away. We talk about this all the time. Could actually be a real thing coming. But the second one would be, if people aren't paying attention to the 101 market, maybe that's a time to start entering into the 101 market. Maybe this is the time to start accumulating some of your favorite artists, start exploring, start diving into the 101 space. This has been a strategy of mine over the past, year now? And it usually almost always works. Like, this is the time to really get good prices on some awesome pieces. Thoughts on this, Door? Thoughts on the market? And then we'll go to Joe.
Yeah, man, the market's lively right now, and I'm just curious about what happens. Like, we're not at that point where I don't think mints are going to start slowing down, but it becomes that turbulent time where things are kind of iffy, and that one project goes to mint and doesn't mint out, and then the market's bearish from that point on. So I think we're good for the next couple mints, but after that point, I'll start getting a little nervous. In terms of 101s, I completely agree with you, Bison. While nobody's looking at the 101 market, there's a lot of good things out there that you can probably pick up for a discount. Only thing you got to keep in mind with 101s is like they're super illiquid, but also like the returns on them can be super high. It just requires a lot more time than usual. But yeah, man, overall the market's pretty good, and your boy's dabbling in ordinals a bit too, so I can't be happier.
Yep. Absolutely. And we'll talk about ordinals, because he did make a purchase that I definitely want to hint in on or hone in on. Well,
yeah, no, I do agree with his point though. Like, market makers do get a bad rap of setting tight deltas on like 100 NFTs in the collection, which significantly hurts floor prices, but in the sense of upward mobility of floor prices. Because you got to go through like this 100 NFT wall, but setting in at a 5% delta, you're not really having that much impact, but you are able to accumulate fees along the way. So I think that's the way to do it if you're going to market make. I haven't dabbled personally too much in market making, but it's something I like to get into.
Yeah, and so just to give you guys a little heads up on what Joe's talking about, you can do this on really any liquidity pool, any AMM like that. Our favorite right now, my favorite personally, is Tensor. And so I would start with something that is relatively low in collection, something that you don't have too much attachment to, that is still very liquid. And one of the collections that Joe talked about, when we were talking about it in DMs, was Claynosaurs. Not Claynosaurs, but the clay from Claynosaurs, sitting at about a 2.6 SOL floor right now. And he doesn't really have emotional attachment to it, right? He's got, I'll keep my bag of what I need for my classes, but the rest, I can just sit there and accumulate fees while people swap out. So this is something to be cognizant of as a way of making money when people are almost like, there's a stillness in the air, right? We got mints coming up, NFT NYC, people are going to be reacting to news and everything like that. There's going to be a lot coming in with it. So yeah, as far as Joe's market making strategy, I definitely agree. I think this is a really good time to do it, especially while we're just kind of sitting on our heels. We do have 155,000 Solana volume. That is good, but it doesn't really feel like a whole lot. It's just like skyrocketing, right? We're all just kind of like, kind of teetering back and forth on where we want to take our positions, and then hoping that the last half of this month is going to be an absolute rocket ship. But thoughts on that? Joe, can we hear you?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Good.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, so you guys explained it great. I think there's a play to be made if you don't mind holding a bag with market making, right? If you don't mind holding a bag with a fat enough delta where you're not hurting the floor price, the risk there, right, is that you end up holding a bag. So if you're doing it project that you love and that you don't care about going down and accumulating, then it's all good. I think people get scared when they start buying more than they're selling in their pool. And they start getting a heavy bag full of those NFTs, and if it's not a project that you trust or believe in, that's a scary position to be in.
Oh yeah.
However, you know, if it's a project that you love and you don't care about, then you sit on that. You're accruing your bag at a decent position of strength, and then you wait for the next swing up. So there's risks in everything we do here, and there's so many different ways to make money. Sharkify, there's all these different avenues, and sometimes when we have decent volume, there's not a lot going on. It's okay to test the waters. Go dip your toe in. You don't got to use a lot of money. Just figure it out. Like, oh, there's this utensil here. There's this utensil. There's a fork. There's a knife. There's a steak knife. There's all different ways to cut meat in this market. So, just trying to dabble my toes.
That's a really good point.
Yep.
That's a really good point.